Shaggy. I am Philolitea. Final Fantasy is still tripping up. YouTube doesn't know which direction the camera, my phone is turned. Whatever. I am Shaggy. I am Philolitea, and this is Final Fantasy, the Pixel remaster. It's on my phone. I have had a stressful day. During my live stream earlier this morning when I was meditating and engaging with my audience, someone decided that they wanted to be completely disruptive of what was going on and repeatedly threatened me with harming my tent. And because I am not afraid of anyone, I encourage them to please do that, but please do it where I can catch them. And they did it. There's a nice little 3-inch hole in the waterproofing of my tent, but they were either too impotent or with someone with someone who is a better judge than they are, and they only threw one rock at my tent. I set up that side of my waterproofing so that the waterproofing wasn't tight enough that children could throw rocks through it again. So it probably just was unsatisfying to see that, oh, he doesn't have that taut enough that we can punch a hole through it. Because someone had already done what they tried to do. Someone had already thrown rocks through my tent. I just replaced this tent at the beginning of the month from where they had thrown damn rocks through it, stolen my extra clothes and my overhead light. The week of Halloween. Last year. There's something making noise on that side of my tent. That might be a rabbit. And it might be a human friend that snuck down here somehow without me hearing them. So on we go. Something's back there. Certainly got my heart pumping tonight. It was only a matter of time. I mean, it's the summer. People get ornery and bored in small towns like this. It was only a matter of time. I mean, it was perfectly timed around Halloween last year. Yeah, somebody's being funny. So I'm just going to do my best to remain calm and remind them that I am on a live stream. I've had a stressful day. I have had a lot of people in my life threaten me with violence. I've had a lot of people threaten me with from me in my life over the course of these 38 years. And none of them was as frightening as my father when I was the smallest boy. So while there is that emotion, this could be it. There's also just a lot of, is this really it? Is this where I get my first kill? Not what I ever wanted to happen in my life. That was probably just a rabbit. Or a deer. It's gonna be difficult for me. I'm not as talkative anymore as I was when I got down here. I was in a good mood and excited to do this, and then somebody decided to attack my home to make the point that I am vulnerable, and they are not. Now I'm annoyed. And I don't super duper want to be doing this, but the conceit is that we're doing this to relax through the stress of the day. And I said earlier, I advocated that you should absolutely do this, and that's when they wanted to disrupt things. So they clearly want to disrupt my evening. So we're just not going to let them. We don't let terrorists win. And if they're going to bother me while I'm in my tent, relaxing, making myself defenseless, then please let them. But if their effort is as clean and masculine as the hole they punched in my tent, all they're really going to do is make me angry. Oh, I don't have enough money. All they're going to end up doing is hurting me just enough to make me angry, and then that's going to be much worse for them. And I don't like feeling this way. I don't like having to be prepared for this emotion. They could have just chosen to be impotent limp dicks and leave me alone, but now they've escalated. But I'm also documenting my emotional reaction because if I were to find them and hurt them, it would be premeditated. And so I want you to see how a healthy mind deals with this. A healthy mind doesn't fantasize about finding and hurting them, retaliating. A healthy mind doesn't put bombs up there for them to step on. A healthy mind lets the worst thing happen and then adjusts. Because if an evil person wants to harm you, you're not going to stop them. They're just going to escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate until they perceive that they have. So I'm stuck in a situation with a psychopath that wants to escalate with me, and the only appropriate response is to ignore it. So I'm just gonna open it up to the public. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I hope I'm right, because I would love to fuck his girlfriend. All right, manager at the big level. But I am respectful toward his girlfriend, and so if he's escalating in an effort to get me to go where I will never be able to see his girlfriend again, and he doesn't have to have whatever competition he thinks I present, he might have just put himself into a bad situation. A very bad situation. Because I have very little to live for. I think that's what most of you, very few of you, fully appreciate. Is that the whole living for a reason thing, that ended for me years ago. I'm alive because I haven't died yet. It really is that simple. I just want to rest at the inn at this point. Yeah, resting at a hotel, not even resting, just taking an afternoon and having a shower would be fucking amazing. Try not to fantasize about that. I've made it this long without it. I can do it. I don't even know what that means in the long and short of things. Punchity punches for 46 damage. We love that. All right, now it's time to go to the inn because we'll have more mana, more spell slots. Go in here and say hello, to which she'll say pleasant dreams, and we'll say thank you. Because we talk funny around women in bikinis. And then we're gonna probably we can cheat. La da da. We can come up here and we can use a quark save. Because there's a chance that we can win this fight. I don't have any AoE, so it's going to be a little bit longer of a fight. But I think that we've got good enough HP. Yeah. Oh, we could do enough damage. We're such a shit shack. We do so much damage that we'll just grind this down one kill at a time here. And they can't do damage to us. Probably could have had them split up those attacks, but whatever, I didn't. We aren't trivializing this fight. They kind of trivialized the beginning of the game by reducing the difficulty on things. But also, this party setup, I've been assured, is an absolute shit shack. And so far, so true. And we're developing in unfair ways too. We're actually getting really favorable rolls on our levels here at the beginning. We got the ship. Now we go down here and we talk to the elf people. I don't know why I said down here. We go down from here and we talk to the elfins peoples. But first I want to see if I have any gear upgrades. No, not that I can afford. Well, la da 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 dee da do. La da dee da dee da. I don't know why he can't wear leather gloves. You think those would be good for his hands, with the punching and all that. Okay. On we go. Well, I'm tired tonight. These yawns tonight are actually me being tired. Usually they're just trying to, I don't know. Usually I get nervous, and so they become an empathetic tick. Really, I'm trying to ask for empathy. It's kind of like when a dog yawns. Um, it's saying I'm uncomfortable, I'm anxious, and probably it's an anxious tick tonight. What with the whole people fucking with my tent, and then loud noises very close to and on that side of my tent. But those noises have faded, so we're just going to assume they were a rabbit. And that the appropriateness of when they made their noise to what I was saying was just a coincidence. We're down here to these elf people who need our help badly. They've got this guy who's all asleep and junk, and they need a jolt tonic, but they don't know where they're going to find a jolt tonic. Where the hell are they going to find a jolt tonic? The only person in the world who knows how to make jolt tonics is a blind old bat with no eye, because somebody stole her eye. We don't know who stole her eye. I don't know why I'm doing this. I know I can't afford it. We don't want to give a weapon to our monk because he will eventually be stronger without it, whether he is now or not. So we'll just skip to that day without putting weapon in his hand. It is kind of a bummer though. I mean, like the monk weapon is kind of cool, like nunchucks and stuff. That I don't know why I went in here. Just habit, I guess. It would be pretty cool, but it's also cooler that they do so much damage unarmed. It'd be cool if the thief could dual wield. There are just a lot of things that would be cool. Oh, how about that? How about it? How about a helm like a dummy? Well, the monk can wear a leather cap, so that's not nothing. All right. And now we leave. And we go say, hello, Marsh Cave. Oh, it's going to spawn us out right there every time. Hello, Marsh Cave. Please don't wipe on this first fight, because we didn't go to an inn. And the inns aren't where the save points are. Ever. Yout. That's why the thief is cool, because he can just straight up not take damage. He's very evasive. That's cool. I like that. Schmack, schmack, schmack. Youch. Aww. Kyle didn't. Oh, Kyle did heal himself. Great job not being the strongest person in the party this time, Madge. Did you see all that damage Shags just did with his bare fists? It's a little ironic, isn't it? Thematically appropriate. But I am okay. People just don't understand that I grew up in extreme violence. You mess with somebody like me, and I am prone to overreact. Especially in the situation in which I currently live. I'm doing my best to cultivate stress management skills, I guess, in public. I don't know why I genuinely don't know why anybody would want to get in the way of that. But like I said, Satan wears many faces. Because Satan is just the adversary. And so Satan can be a person, or Satan can be the mythical devil, if you want. It's just the will to do evil is really all it is. The will to be adverse. People get off on it more and more and more these days because civilization died in 2001. Every check and balance that had ever been in place was written out by 2001, and when those planes hit those towers, everything good died. In one single moment. Kyle with 27 HP. Mr. Ouch. Fucking bugs with the flying in my eyes. Shags, you're supposed to... He's developing interestingly. He's supposed to be lots of agility and stamina. This fucking bug trying to fly in my eye. Ugh. It's got itself trapped on the inside of my glasses. Had got itself trapped on the inside of my glasses. Off we go. I probably could have bought healing items before I left. That probably would have made sense. Youth. You don't take a lot of damage. This party doesn't take nearly as much damage as the last party. Heavier armor, higher agility, and then just higher HPs in general. How long did it take for fucking Kyle? It took him like level 15 to eclipse 100 HP. It took goddamn forever. Mad's just stacking 20 plus HP every level. Love it. Keep it up. We don't actually want to go in here because we don't have any healing items or healing spells. But we are going to go in here because there's this room up here that has healing items and healing spells in it. And what the hell? Show you what Dia does, since we didn't use it last run. I kind of need it for this fight, but you'll see what it does. Wow, really not going to need it for this fight. That was a waste of a spell slot. But there you go. It does that to all of them. And it's... the damage is negligible. But it's damage. Anyway, I forgot that we have a white mage in the party, and there are white spells. Two levels of white spells in that town we just left. And so we really are going to go back to town with the money and the experience we gained from doing this. We're just such a shit shack that we're not going to take nearly as much damage as we do that thing with this party. This isn't going to take anywhere close to as long or as much effort as it did with our last party. So I'm going to burn up our spell slots a little bit because we're going to pick up some healing items in this next floor. I think there's a potion up here. No, we're only going to need the one. Fuck it. We can auto-attack all this stuff. It feels like the game is just easier. It's really funny how your party composition really dictates how difficult or how easy the game is, just how any particular dungeon is. Because we only had 2 people in the last party who could do decent damage, fights just really felt like they dragged on unless we used our AoE. This team, everybody can do pretty decent damage. Ooh, that's bad news. Oh, that's very, very bad news about the man. Oh, and that's an annoying sound. Okay, it's time to go. We gotta get back to town before Madge dies of that poison. Actually, he's not going to die of the poison. He's going to die of the blunt force trauma with 1 health. Smack, 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 smack! Get it, Mr. S. Oh, that noise is annoying. Every step. And since we're walking so fast, it's a lot of steps. Smack it, smack, smack. It's so nice. It's so nice. So yes. I kill the deads. We like it to kill them dead. Kyle and Mr. S. Wow, those levels were a waste. Shags, with the stamina's fine, but I really want you to have better agility, my guy. Oh, that's funny. My guy, because he's actually is my guy. And moving on. How y'all doing out there in the internet world? I can't see your answer, but I do hope you're doing well. I hope your day is going as well as my day was going before I actually got back to my home. Alright, Madge. That's a good level. Uh-oh. It wasn't responding to my button press. I was right about the poisons. Rather, the potions. I forgot about poison being a whole thing. So Madge has just got malaria. And we're trying to get him back to civilization to deal with his malaria. Oh, and that's not how you do it. It's never going to be how you do it. And that is always going to spit you out on that tile. I do that every time. All right, Kyle. It's a hammer in your hand. That's a hammer. And you just hit a giant spider with it. I'm sure that it's in your heart to do more than one damage. But we're going to have to do better than what's in your heart, Kyle. Oh, fucking A. Shags. That was my fault. I was only concerned with Madge. I was only paying attention to Madge's HP, and Shags got to eat it. Bummer for him. This is going to be an extremely expensive. Oh no, one of us is poisoned. Run. And hey, Madge, I'm trying to get you killed. Not really, but you know. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That's kind of like what that noise sounds like to me. It's just so annoying. Okay. Arise, fallen me. Okay, so this is a little Byzantine, but that's not what I meant to do. The this is the way you have to get rid of poison. This is our option. I could also buy the Poisona spell that I, for whatever reason, chose not to. But you have to use an antidote. You have to use an antidote or the Poisona spell. If you go to the inn, I don't know why I thought that my antidote was going to be in my spells list. But if you go to the inn, you'll wake up still poisoned. That's why I call it malaria. It's hilarious to me. I don't know why that's hilarious to me, but it is hilarious to me. It's like, yeah, what is sleeping at an inn going to do for your poisoned spider bite, your infected spider bite? Nothing. But I think the reason it's funny to me is because I guess in Dragon Quest, the church will also cure your poisons or whatever, right? Your status effects. And so it's just funny to me that the church is like, I'll bring him back to life, but fuck your status effect. They sell items at the item store. You'll figure it out. All right. I actually wanted heal and not Diara. I thought I was buying heal and not Diara, but I bought Diara, and so we move on. Diara is the better version of Dia. I said that to you because I evidently think you're an idiot. Not really. I don't think you're an idiot. I don't know why I said that out loud. On we go. All right, Shags, I'm going to need you to not be the Kyle of this party. Right now, Kyle is the Shags of this party. He's actually the Mr. S of this party. I need you guys to fit into your natural roles more naturally and more quickly. Da 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 da. Yep. So now for the next few weeks, I just get to spend my time like that moment where I'm not thinking about anything, preparing myself to come home to find my tent destroyed and my stuff stolen again. It's really interesting to me that people can think that they're perfectly good people when stealing from a homeless person, destroying a homeless person's stuff. I'm a good person. I'll prove it. Let me do this heinous act of evil to this defenseless person, apparently defenseless and powerless person. I just don't understand how they can think what they think about themselves. Probably because they've never heard anyone suggest anything else about them. Probably blame their moms and their grandmothers, like just straight up. I mean, I can just assume if he's who I think he is, I can just assume that his mother and his grandmother are to blame. He gets his hair cut at a barber shop. That right there is called being soft. Only your mom would give you the idea to do something like that. Da-da-da. Well, we'll see. Only one way to find out, and that is to wait. If powerless we appear, then powerless we continue to be perceived. Just going out and doing some performative act of power is silly. Like your language, the Indo-European language family, is basically built up around resolving exactly this conflict that I'm having. People that don't know where their boundaries end and mine begin. That's why language started. That's what civilization is. It's literally the verb form of making one another civil toward one another. To civilize a person is to make them somewhat less of a piece of shit. I'm not kidding. The three divisions of the Roman world were the nobility, the civitas, and the plebeian. So the people that owned everything, the people that benefited from the people who owned everything, and the people who were owned by everyone else. So to civitize means to learn how to get along with what the nobles want and how to manage slaves. To be civilized means to be a mental manager in a corporation. Just funny because I spent about an hour of my night tonight listening to the manager at the Taco Bell, the general manager, in fact, of the Taco Bell here on this hill, be really inept at her job. She kept telling this one guy on the shift that everything that was going wrong. And in my head, I can just remember all the times that's happened to me. And my first thought was, okay, yeah, but you know that I don't always work here, right? And you know that I'm not anybody's boss. And so if I were to try to say, hey, the general manager said that this is supposed to be done that way, if I see it being done wrong, that no one's going to stop what they're doing because of me, right? And then I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I wonder if this general manager realizes that she's the general manager, which means that she's the manager of the managers. And if corporate wants her working nights, it's so she can see what her managers aren't doing, not so she can badger her lowest level and most taken advantage of employees with how things are supposed to be done. They know how things are supposed to be done. They also know that when they walk in on their shifts, nothing that was supposed to be done ever is. So you can climb all the way up out of my ass, Miss General Manager. I'm not fixing this problem. Talk to Bill. That's his actual pay grade. So I'm just listening. I'm just sitting there listening to that. And maybe now you understand why I don't have a job. Because I no longer have the fear of losing the job to keep her. Did I buy antidotes? To keep myself from telling her exactly what I just told you would tell her. Talk to Bill. Oh, it's Bill's day off? Call him. See how that shit goes. Get out of my ass. Anyway, that guy can't even make a burrito worth a damn. I don't know why she thinks he's reliable enough to tell people how to properly clean a freezer. She asks him, "Were you here last night?" She's going, "This freezer wasn't cleaned proper last night." And he goes, "Well, how do you know that?" And she goes, "Well, look at it. It's just coated in ice on the inside. That means it was wet when it was turned back on, which is not how it's supposed to be done. And he just gives her this silence like, I did not know that. No one bothered to tell me that. And then she goes, well, did you clean it last night? And he goes, I didn't work last night. And so if she doesn't know who worked last night, and she doesn't know who worked what shift last night, what she is, the word for what she is called incompetent. That's her only job, is to know who worked what shift last night and what position. That's literally her only job, is to draw up that schedule and that plan. So if she doesn't know, she's totally inept. And if she does know, then she also knows that he was lying to her when he says, oh, I didn't even work last night. He absolutely was the one who cleaned that. That's why he asked her, how do you know that? In the way that he did. He thought he was being subtle. Because you never get in trouble for anything. You never actually got in trouble for anything in school. So when you were saying things to your teachers or your peers, like, well, how do you know that wasn't done right? That you genuinely think that your peers or teachers think that are stupid, believe that it was somebody other than the person asking how they got caught. You're not asking how to do it correctly. You're asking how not to get caught. Anybody that doesn't see that is too stupid to be in a management position. But this is why nowhere makes money. This is why I'm not in management positions. And this is why I didn't back down to that guy when he was threatening me. Because if he's going to do it, he's going to do it whether he threatens me or not. And he's going to do it whether I back down or not. If I back down and get all, oh, please don't, Mr. Anonymous, he's just going to think he's won. And so now let him think he's won until he sees me back at it tomorrow. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to escalate. If I'm going to scare him into not being homeless anymore, I'm going to have to escalate to actually damaging his things. Bring it on. Bring it on, Donkey Kong. I carry everything that cannot be easily replaced on my person. So bring it on. I've been waiting on my tent to be caught, to come back and for my tent to be in actual flames, actual smoldering flames from my fan. So bring it on. Really. Bring it on. It disappoints me that your mother let you come out of the womb like this. But bring it on. I don't know why me, but I never understood why me with my bullies when I was in school either. I understood why me by the time it was racial epithets when I was working service. I understood why me. It's like, oh, well, I'm a white guy, I can't fight back. If I were of any other racial background, I could fight back. Well, guess what, folks? The only person that's going to miss me if I end up doing jail time over this is Mr. S. And he'll be all right. I believe in him. Just from the time I've met him, he's grown so much. Just from being challenged a little bit. That's all it took, was being challenged just a little bit. Pushed rather than encouraged. That's all it takes for anybody, man. I managed, and I trained for so long. It's like teaching a kid to ride a bicycle, man. They're never going to learn it until they need to know. I sure as fuck couldn't learn it until I needed to know. Couldn't learn. Could not figure out how to ride my bike. Now, granted, my granddad was he was a fucking shisty, shrifty asshole. So he would buy me gifts, but he would either buy me gifts that were only going to last me a few weeks because of how rapidly I was growing, or he would buy me gifts that I wouldn't be able to use for years. So he bought me an adult's bike when I was in kindergarten. He bought me an adult-sized bike, and so I couldn't figure out how to ride it because I had the kind of parents who also weren't going to give me training wheels. And let me tell you how pissed off, I cannot describe to you, actually, how pissed off I was that they bought my brother a child bike with training wheels. Now, at the time, I couldn't understand that was learning from their mistakes. But what the fuck? Anyway, I figured out how to ride it because one day I just decided that I was gonna try. So what I was doing is I was walking it up to the top of the hill, and what I was gonna do is I was gonna sit on it, and I was just gonna figure out how to fucking balance this thing. See if I can figure out how to balance this on this fucking thing, at the very least, while it's rolling, coasting down a hill. So because I already knew how brakes worked, front and back brakes, because I grew up on four-wheelers. My granddad had four-wheelers, so I already understood how front and back brakes work. I understood centrifugal force as well as a 6-year-old. I was probably as old as 8 by then, maybe as old as 10. But I understood centrifugal force as well as a child of maybe as old as 10 can understand it from the experience of riding on four-wheelers. And so I brought my bike outside and decided I was going to walk it up the hill. And then for whatever reason, my dog just tore ass down the hill. And I panicked, and suddenly I was riding my bike like I'd been doing it that whole time. Fuck those scorpions. Oh, wow. Yep, that happened again. I deserve that. I deserve that for not paying attention to tell that story about the first time I rode a bike. Who really gives a fuck about that story? The moral is, you'll never learn until you need to. So until you've convinced yourself that you need any piece of information, you will never retain it. And that's why most people in the public school system that succeed, the way they do so is by stressing themselves into a fight or flight need situation. But then they can't remember what they've learned. So it's functionally useless to them. So maybe don't force yourself into a fight or flight survival mode. Need to defend yourself. Need this information situation. If you're going to learn from me, maybe just relax. And if a bad thing is going to happen, let it happen. My dad used to say that it's not a fall from a great height. It's not the fall that kills you. It's the bounce. And the resulting second collision, that's what kills you. Where serious injury, this is fucked up. Where serious injury comes from in an automobile accident, car crashes. Serious injury comes from resisting the crash. People will tense up. Oh, nice. Did it autosave at the floor so that I only have to endure this much of that again? That was pretty convenient of you. Quality of life improvements from the old game, because I was looking at total save from my actual, or total load of my last save spot. Why is it not leaving on? It's weird. Anyway. So it's not the initial collision with reality that causes the shock. It's the second time you walk into it because you didn't believe it when you saw it. Have you ever walked into a glass door or a window Like, have you ever walked into, thought that a door was a sliding glass door and it turns out it was just a panel of glass? You ever walked smack into that? That's not embarrassing. Embarrassing is doing it twice. And so on some level, like, that is what my live streams are. Fuck, man. This is fucked up. This is what this game is supposed to be like. And so we've avoided any of these capricious wipes that you just can't avoid. We've had none of them. So it's just going to give us them all to us on this run, because I'm talking about being patient. I'm talking about enduring the bad thing that's going to happen. Just let it happen. Let the moment be over. Talking you through how to get through a traumatic situation. But being in a car crash, I've been in a lot of car accidents. My dad was not a safe driver. um, Lots of them, and you don't. I remember watching one of them. We got T-boned, and I remember watching the headlights approach. It was at night, and I remember watching them come. And so, like that shot in a movie, seeing the headlights come and hit the opposite side of the car from where I was sitting, and knowing that the collision was going to throw me into the wall and hurt me very bad, but also knowing I couldn't have been 12 years old. Um, I was in fifth grade, knowing that life as we knew it was officially over, and that if I tensed up, I was more likely to die than if I just let it happen to me. This is going to happen. Tensing up isn't going to stop it. And where I really learned that was from my parents savagely beating me. Hold something, grip your teeth. This belt is going to hurt. But it's not going to stop if you dance around. It's only going to be worse. So this kid, he wants to bother me, he wants to get under my skin, he wants to stop my production, he wants to affect my home, probably because his parents are neglectful but not abusive. They're emotionally distant. Because he's expensive. But that's not my fault. And so I just have to remind myself, as I would recommend that you do, that Jesus told us that there is only one abominable sin in God's eyes. There is only one unforgivable sin in God's eyes, and that unforgivable sin is the sin of not asking forgiveness for your sins. And so this person that is harming me all the way outside my hands, whether I forgive them or I don't forgive them in my heart, is completely irrelevant, entirely irrelevant. You might be asking yourself, but why is it irrelevant? The answer is because they haven't asked it. Until they ask for my forgiveness is invalid. God doesn't forgive them, so what does my forgiving them matter? Jesus didn't say, forgive thy neighbor. He said, love thy neighbor. And what that means is opening yourself to the experience that the next time you engage with them, they'll have had a change of heart because God will have reached into their life and literally changed their heart. That is what that means. And so I just mourn for this poor child. And I hate his parents. His parents are hateful to me, because it's his parents and his grandparents that are doing this wrong to me. He lacks the intelligence and the information and the emotional and social maturity to be tried in court as an adult. And so I can't be angry at his parents. He doesn't know right from wrong. I can't be angry at him, rather. I can only be angry at his parents. And I can't ask forgiveness from them either because they're too inept at the job of rearing to think their baby boy is anything but an angel. And so this is just a generational cycle that cannot be fixed. Certainly not by me getting in my feelings about it and lashing out, looking for him, yelling, quitting my live streams, even letting that fear, even if he had been right there waiting the whole time, even the momentary fear of, am I really going to go out here with no pants on and a knife in my hand, and am I going to really fuck this kid up right now? Even that, just let that pass. Find out. No reason to go out there and poke the bear of the unknown. Just let whatever's going to happen happen. And if he's right there and I can't see him because of the angle I'm at, so let it be. Maybe he'll watch this and he'll learn something. Because in the summer for young people, it's the thrill of the thing. They're too stupid. Too stupid, too self-defeating, too young, too immature to know any different. But that is why a lot of young people didn't make it to adulthood before 1992. Probably 2002, really. There were a lot of kids who fucked with the wrong adults and just never made it home. A lot. That's why I find the Game of Thrones whole throwing the kid out the window thing so tacky, because there were a better way to show that cruelty. There were better ways. There's a more original and creative way to show that particular cruelty and lack of concern for other people's children. There's all kinds of clicking and moving noises out there. Again, probably an animal, but the throwing the thing through my tent had the intended effect. My body is keyed up, waiting for a confrontation. But the last time I had a confrontation at my tent was the week of Halloween last year. So give or take 10 months. If they're 10 months few and far between, then I don't need to gear myself up. And anyway, I can just patch the hole with duct tape. They didn't last time they damaged the structure of the whole tent, and so it ultimately collapsed under the weight of the damage that was done. That didn't happen this time. Attempt was too inept, which makes me think it was probably not who I think it was, and was actually a small child, because the rock they threw was big enough. They just didn't throw it hard enough, which means they weren't strong enough, which means it was probably just little kids. Doesn't make it any better. But that is an illustration of what I'm talking about. You know, in the medieval world, you stumble upon an outlaw's camp and you fuck with it, and he comes back. None of you survives that. That's the world I spend my time thinking about. We're not supposed to compare things. The Buddha suggested that comparison is one of the sources of evil. But he also said that philosophy was a waste of time because it doesn't get you any closer to the good life. And the philosophy that he meant is what we call science, empirical inquisition. And he was right. What I know through empirical inquisition has not improved my life. It has worsened my life. here we are. Because I don't think the Buddha was right. Just because I referenced the Buddha doesn't mean that the Buddha was right. And just because the Buddha has a whole religion named after him doesn't mean I think he was right. Buddha or Buddhism is an ethical self-end. It's an abdication of the responsibility of being alive. Whereas philosophy is preparation for death. I'm not a philosopher either. Philaliteia. How are we doing for battery? Still good. It's a lot easier to tell when my battery has died in the tent than it is out in the sun. I can actually see the light here on the little doodad. I'm starting to get tired. I was hoping that I could at least finish the marsh cave tonight. But what do you think? We haven't done nearly so many laps. Nearly so many laps to get to this point. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I also have the XP double what it was on that playthrough, so that's probably got something to do with it. But I'm willing to doubt that's got anything to do with it. Because I'm pretty sure we were around level 15 before we got out of here. You know, I was thinking about it. If, in addition to being a chatterbox, if I had a stutter, because sometimes I hear that I stutter, if I stuttered, my dad's advice to me when I was a boy wasn't terrible advice. I'm just autistic enough that I took it literally for 33 years or whatever it ended up being. Damn near 30 years. If I was stuttering, telling me to just pause and know what I'm trying to say before I talk is helpful for a stutter. It's not always a cure-all, but just pausing and being patient with the meat and muscle, meat and bone rather, of the voice apparatus, the speaking part. If I just basically what he was telling me, because he couldn't say this, I was too young, I was 4. He was basically telling me that if I just take the time to let my young developing mouth catch up to my prodigious brain, the echo where I start to stutter and I don't really know what I'm saying anymore, that wouldn't happen. And he's right. He is right about that. When I start to really struggle and I can't get an idiom, something that I'm trying to say out of my mouth, I just cannot spit it out. I have to stop and I have to imagine that I'm writing it, get it in the proper order, and then take my time and I can make it happen. Okay, so there's no one-shot kills on this fight. This isn't going to be anywhere near as fast and easy. Damn, just pounding on him. But at least they didn't hit Shags. Yes. It's interesting that this party, the damage is spreading how it typically I would want it to. It's mostly going to my warrior, right? But on my last fight, man, it all went to everybody else. So not all of it, obviously, we're being hyperbolic, but so much of it went to everybody else. It should have been frustrating. Maybe it was frustrating. I found it narratively amusing. But it is interesting how this run, see, they're just blasting into Madge. It's interesting how this run they're doing that, and the last one they didn't. I wonder if it's because Mr. S and Shags are less enticing targets because it's going to be very difficult to hit Mr. S, the thief, and Shags has got such decent defense. They just don't make good targets, or what? I wonder. I don't know. It's interesting. I would love to know, but not because I watched poorly voiceovered and really annoyingly scripted YouTube video essay. I would really like to know um, how they designed the enemies to choose their targets in this game. I would love to know that. But that's the kind of thing that I would just have to have a real conversation with a real human being about. Because I've grown to really just kind of despise the video essay format. It's so easy to fake. It's so easy to do badly, is what I'm saying. So easy to do badly. And I got taken in pretty good by people like Lindsay Ellis and their video essays because I didn't realize how cookie cutter and bottom of the intellectual barrel, in fact, a YouTube video essay is. I didn't realize that they're just regurgitating horseshit that would have gotten a C- in university for people who didn't go to university and don't know better. And then the people who did go to university and do know better, who watch their stuff and support them, are doing so to justify their D- papers. Those are good to these people. Like, this is high quality work to these people, and no wonder they don't understand what I'm doing. I spit this shit off the top of my head for 2 hours. Just boom, 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 off the dome, top of the head, top of the head, top of the head. Man, it fucking takes H Bomber Guy 3.5 years to make a half-hour video. Eat my whole fucking nutsack, H Bomber Guy. Eat my whole fucking nutsack. And that guy has a home provided to him by Patreon subscriptions. Actually, he doesn't. He has a home provided to him by his mother. But he has an income provided for by Patreon subscriptions. A whole list of names. And then you begin to see why I get so angry when people want to come at me and tell me I'm not allowed to do this. They don't want me doing this because I raise the bar too high. I raise the bar high enough to push them out. Well, obviously, the bar isn't so high that everyone should be pushed out because my guy, Mr. S, is going to publish something for me to share someday. Right? I'm working on that. I think about it a lot, but I don't want to ask him because I don't want to put a bunch of pressure on him to feel like he has to go through that loop I talked about in today's long form, where it's work for 8 or 12 or however many hours at work and then come home and do another 8 or 6 hours on my hobby and then sleep. And then I don't want to put pressure on him to feel like he has to do that. But man, that was life. That was life before unions. That was life before our lives got cushy. And so that's what I did all the way up until I was 33. When I was 33 on my 33rd birthday, a fortune teller told me that I was a 33rd soul. I was an ascended master. The rest of my life was just going to be coasting my way toward ascension. And I said, all right, let's see if that was any real bullshit. Let's see if that was real or bullshit. Because the math, I asked her to explain her math. And if you add up the letters of my name, they do add up to numerologically 33. It's actually pretty uncanny. My birthday too, if you add up 0, 7, 1, 7, 1, 9, 8, and 7, that does add up to 33, which is pretty fucking uncanny. But the whole 33rd soul ascended master thing is probably bullshit. Probably bullshit. I don't know if I mean that, actually. It's hard for me to say whether I mean that or not because my literary work, Not Rob Longshore, is channeled, and the being I'm channeled insists that it is an ascended master, or at least that it is what Madame Blavatsky was talking about, and that Madame Blavatsky didn't know what the fuck she was talking about, which is accurate enough. And he was telling me that before I had read her. Hey, so this is not for Mr. S. Full disclosure, he tipped me tonight, so I'm gonna have plenty of money to make it through the rest of the month if I'm smart and I don't treat the rest of the month like it's still my birthday. I'm gonna pack of cigarettes and I'm gonna get some nicotine and then I'm gonna coast that. I'm gonna coast that with food for as long as I can. I got $40 coming to me from him on Patreon, which is gonna go toward my debt. I got $40 coming to me from Magic Shadow on Patreon, which is gonna go to my debt. And hopefully, cross our fingers, we'll get supplemental tips to eat on in the end term, and I'll be able to have that $100 to buy weed when it comes his next Patreon sub, and so that can go to my debt too. That's unlikely. That's unlikely to play out. But I did make $1.25 on my own today. I did say I did eventually level 2 in that game. I did make that $1.25. So it's not like I'm only putting a token effort. And would you like me to open my Cash App to prove it to you? So my Cash App has been open to prove itself to you multiple times today. God, I hope that I don't have any information from that can be fucking stolen. Come get my $1.25, please. Stupid and unethical that can happen from an ad. That an ad will just automatically open its download page is seriously fucked up. And that it'll just open up the app on your phone because it opened the download page and that just that's fucked up. There are apps like Chime will just automatically download on your phone from those apps. Seriously fucked up. And these apps will all get sued for it eventually. They're just doing such a good job of convincing you that they have the freedom of human beings to do these things that there's no real pushback anymore. I mean, Europe is still trying to make it legal for these companies to use AI to misrepresent their products and advertisements to you. The average European citizen wants this because they just do not understand social liberty whatsoever. Europeans have been slaves, serfs for so long. Communism is serfdom. They've been slaves for so long. About 4,000 years is so long. That's a long time to be a slave. They just don't know any better. It's hard to sympathize with Europeans. It's hard to imagine not knowing better. But that's why our country is the way our country is, because of the trauma of the American Revolution and then the Civil Wars. The American Revolution and Civil War. Revolutionary and Civil Wars is how you would pluralize that. We made sure until the children who graduated with my class that we were proud of our nation and we were proud of those sacrifices. We were proud of those traumas that made us uniquely us and made us uniquely understand independence from a tyrannical, overbearing government and tyrannical, overbearing rich people. And then we gave it all away because enough Germans specifically, but enough Europeans immigrated to the United States that we lost our way. The Democratic Party was able to lean on former Nazis and political refugees to effectively erode civil liberty, erode your understanding of what it means to have it. Because if you're a cosmopolitan person, you can't know more than Europe. Europe is the cosmopolitan center of the world in 1914. So modern American politics are about pretending that it's 1918. They're actually about pretending that it's 1885, but we won't scroll back that far. That was too long ago for me to try to articulate what that even means. I have the crown, right? Did I leave and come back? I may have. I may have gone all the way out of the dungeon, saved, and went all the way back down. That's why I love this game. And that's why we like a shit shack party. Because what I wanted from this was to get just bored enough that basically let the combat encounters manage themselves so I can dissociate and think about things that really matter, at least really matter to me. And I think they've accomplished that tonight, which means that I'm going to go up here, I'm going to smack the dark elf in the mouth, and I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to call this a day, a sleep period well earned. Because where are we now? I'm at 7 hours of productivity for the day, and that's about all that anybody ever asks of you in the corporate world. Now in the manufacturing world, Mr. S, I know. But I don't think I have 10 hours in me, bud. This is a different kind of labor, you know. I know you know that, and I know you're not going to hold it against me. I just used to work alongside you, man. I still have a lot of habits in my idiom and my mannerisms from just not ever wanting to leave work. Not ever wanting to not be working, wanting to be working on a hobby, wanting to be working on it, on my mind, on my spirit, on my mental health, on my friendships, right? Working, cultivating my relationships, all of that has mattered to me for years. And I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. I'm saying that it led me here. And if those people want to undermine my peace, they're going to have to kill me. They're going to have to actually hurt me. Because I'm not a Muslim. I don't go looking for trouble. All right, we have to go back to town anyway. So I'm going to turn off the encounters and we're going to go back to town and then we're going to smack the dark elf in the mouth and then we're going to call this a night. What a run. I've had a great time playing this for you. All of my good energy, I guess, was last night and in my previous streams, but this is where I wanted to be. I like being the up energy guy. I do. That's who I was at work. I was always the jokey, laughy, up energy. Let's get it done. Let's do it. Yeah, rah, rah, team, locker room presence guy. And I don't mind being that now. I'm trying to get back to where I'm just effortlessly funny again. That would be nice. I'm not constantly overthinking, is this going to land? I'm being assured that I'm getting there. But I don't know where I want to grow from there, actually. I don't know. I was thinking about it as I was saying it, like if I had a goal, like what archetype, like what guy would I be? And I've just always wanted to be a shaman my whole life. I've always wanted to have a beard that people didn't fucking bother me to groom and long hair that people didn't bother me to style and to wear an acceptable a dress acceptable for men, basically a robe. Carry a big stick, and when people give me lip, be allowed to whack them in the fucking head with it. So in other words, I've always wanted to be Rafiki. Like that's archetypically, that's just who I've always aimed at being my whole life. I'm not embarrassed of that. But that is why I have this whole get off my fucking lawn vibe when it comes to everything I like, really. All right, you ready, Dark Elf? Now we smacked Astos around pretty good with our last party, so I'm anticipating this one giving me a touch more trouble, just on principle. But they may have reduced his HP so much that we just walk out here and in the first round just obliterate him. No, I'll do it. Fuck me, Dad. I'm so dumb. There we go. Oh, that's not going to help you much. It's going to help you just enough to prolong this more than one round, but it ain't going to help you much. Why would you cast it again? To what end? Like, I would love to know. I would love to know why the enemies make the choices they make. Like, how did they program it to use their? How did they program them to use their abilities? I would love to know. It would just be fascinating learning. I'm sure someone knows. I'm sure someone has done an interview with the developers. I'm just also certain that it was in Japanese. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't speak that language. Actually, his evasion is good enough. Just whack him with a fucking stick. Damn it with the dark. That was something that I didn't invest in being able to get rid of magically. So he's just going to make it to where I can't hurt him, but he's not going to do any damage to me either. This is a hilarious fight. This is playing out hilariously. It's working for him. It's not helping him, but it is prolonging the hell out of this fight. We're a shit shack, and we're just not allowed to hurt him. He's got us so fucking slow he can dodge everything we do, but we're still hitting him. This is hilarious. We're blind, but you know the power of cribes compels us to hit them anyway. It's great. I love this. Has he done damage yet? He's done 22 damage to Madge. Oh, now we just can't hit him. Now things are getting a little silly. Okay, we don't have any eye drops. And I chose not to buy the thing that would get rid of blind because nothing other than this boss uses blind. Oh man, if he had hit me with death, I would have been annoyed. That was a fun fight. See, I like a prolonged fight like that when we're a shit shack. That was great. I'm really glad I did that. That's got a great big smile on my face, and I'm feeling very good about that fight. I'm also feeling good that I got the right mic, that I picked out the right mic, and my microphone hasn't died during this presentation. So it hasn't rained today. I got my chair. I was able to collapse my chair and bring it inside the tent, so it'll be dry tomorrow. So I can actually come back to the tent early and sit outside the tent if I choose to do that. There's a very good chance I don't choose to do that. Now, what did I get from doing that? Didn't we get the eye right? So we have to go back to Matoya. All right, we'll go introduce ourselves to Matoya, and there's a very good chance we don't steal from her this time because that last party was scrupulous, but this party is a shit shack. It doesn't need your petty healing items. That last party needed them badly. Okay, just making sure that I've actually saved. Wait a minute, I've only played this for an hour and a half on this save? Is that real? We're this far and we're only an hour and a half in? Yeah, this party is a lot better than the last party. Okay. And we still were level 15 when we got to that spot. Okay. Now I'm done. I really am saying thank you now. So thank you for that second like. Thank you for being here, everyone who stopped in, and everyone who stops in the future. Just do me that favor and thank Mr. S in the comments. Make his investment in my work worth it to me, please. That would just be a huge favor to me. If you're not going to help him sustain my work, help me thank him for sustaining my work. You see what I'm saying?